I'm just laying down some extra sidings. I figured I don't need fiddle yard hidden away somewhere. If I'm going to have a fiddle yard, I'll have it exposed. So I've got sidings here that go all the way around the loop, or most of the way around the loop, to store my long excursion trains, and a couple of short sidings for 4-car DMUs or EMUs. The three sidings that were there in the first place, I'm just modifying the outer one to give me access to these others. I fitted the points and the point motors, well, the point operators. It's a let's go around and look. The point operators for those extra 5 points I have put in are not motorised, but they are push rods. Where is it? There it is. And I've got an extra, well, I have the switch that is the motive power operator here, wired to feed some LEDs that will be in the sidings as marked to identify for me which siding I've got switched, because it's sometimes a little bit difficult to keep track of which is which. Going back to the sidings that I'm laying, I'm just wiring them here as I go. Touch a little solder onto the side of the rail to tin the rail, and tin the ends of the droppers that I've got here. Now I'm going to bend the end 2 millimeters over at a little right angle, and tuck the wire into the outside of the rail so that you really don't see it. The only thing we'll see in the end, hopefully, is a bit of a grey blob of solder that I'm going to paint with the rest of the outside of the rails to try and camouflage it. I'm pulling these wires down to the right position so that they're adjacent to the rail and out of sight, out of mind, and when they're positioned I will touch the soldering iron to them and away we go. Oops. That one is not right. I'll just pull that down so that it's out of the way, and pull that one down so that it's out of the way. There we go. Now I've just got a few more to do. We just pull it down and position it adjacent to the rail so that it's in the right place. something is not right. Swivel it round a bit to be closer to the side of the rail. Bit of a blob of solder, but hopefully the painting I shall apply to the sides of the rails at some stage in the future will help cover it up. See if we can manage these as well. Give it a little kink over sideways so that when it pulls down alongside the rail it's actually touching. The same there, a little kink sideways, a little more sideways. There we are, adjacent to the rail. There we are, in exactly the right position. It says hopefully. Now all we got to do is just touch the solder to it. Well, that's a bit high. It's still above the height of the rail. That's better. I've got all these wires colour coded, the droppers down from the rail, and I've got, amongst my collection of various bits and pieces, an old telephone box connector that I'm merely going to use as a connection point so that I don't have these thin cables draped all around underneath the layout. So I'm going to feed this cable to the switch point that's going to have all the switches to control it, and I'll merely connect all these others at this local point here and terminate the fix the terminal block under the layout. Some interesting by-the-bys. This little control panel was what used to control the 3 sidings alongside the station platforms here. Now I've added 5 sets of points and 5 extra sidings around the far side that you've seen me wiring, and I've made another control panel to replace this one with the electrical switches still to control those first 3 sets of points, and the mechanical switches to control the other sets that give me access to the rest of the line. So what I'm going to do now is replace the switches here, move them from this board to the new board, and the switches that control the feed to those first 3 sidings, and then I'll use my Go Faster stripes to build up similar displays to my other boards so that at least there's a bit of continuity going. One other little thing, you'll notice that part of what I was doing over there earlier with the soldering was the camera was being held by a little homemade thingy that fits on top of my miniature tripod, and the cell phone just slots into the container at the top there to hold the camera still for me.